NANI?!
Welcome ladies and gents, I'm Void Dude, and does seeking your fortune among the stars by blowing up excite you? Does the constant sound of pew 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 get your blood pumping? Does an endless grind of destroying ship after ship after ship make you feel anything at all? Well my friend, then you're in luck, because this Space Oscar nominated YouTube video guide will go over PvE bounty hunting as it exists in Star Citizen Alpha 3.16.1 and explore its feasibility in 3 different ship categories.
Why should we care, Void Dude?
Well, the current implementation of bounties in Star Citizen has serious credit earning potential. Once you unlock very high risk and extreme risk contracts, you'll be putting in 60 to 90,000 credits per group contract completed.
Wow!
And for the time being, ship components are not permanently lost when you inevitably bite the space dust, so upgrading your Slave 1 or Fire Spray or whatever the you call your moneymaker to something optimized for the task at hand is not a futile endeavor and can increase your credit earning rate. Bounty hunting is also one of the few, if not the only contract-based system in the game at the moment that can set you up against other players, so it's possible to engage in a bit of PvP should you want to, but we'll explore that in another video. So grab your space helmet, refuel your ship, don't forget to hydrate, and let's begin. Inspecting the Bounty Hunter tab in your mobiGlass's contract manager, it all appears quite straightforward. Choose a contract, go to the location, blow up the target, get space money. However, it's not immediately obvious that these contracts are all tied to reputation for different factions. In Stanton's case, these are mainly the security forces for the different planets throughout the system. The Bounty Hunters Guild sits above the rest and is the primary reputation linked to all the others, as gaining rep with them will unlock higher tier contracts from all the rest. At the moment, there are no tangible benefits to gaining reputation with, say, Crusader securities over Hurston securities. This may come into play in future patches, with different rewards for different factions or access to specific areas on their associated territories or planets, or make things more complicated later in the wider game, as doing jobs for a certain faction might make you hated by another. The higher reputational ranks for different security jurisdictions, however, unlock percentage-based increases to your payout. So what you really want to do is operate consistently within a particular planetary system's jurisdiction, such as Crusader, and maximize your earning potential. As mentioned before, the Bounty Hunters Guild rep track is the main one to focus, as this will unlock more difficult and better paying contracts. Pick the evaluation contracts when available to unlock the next tier. You'll work your way up from very low risk targets and increase to low, medium, high, very high, and finally extreme risk targets. Eventually, you'll start noticing group bounty contracts enter the mix, if you do the Pro Tem Group Warrant contract to unlock them. If you want reputation, stick to the single target contracts. If you want money, then doing the group target contracts will be better. These simply require you to take out 3 targets instead of 1. For those looking to maximize credits earned per hour, the sweet spot tends to be at the very high risk target tier, where you can earn about 60k for every group bounty completed. You can finish these pretty fast, even in an Aurora. The grind to unlock reputation required for VHRTs and ERTs is painful. I'm not a fan of the concept of grinding in games in the first place. Games should be fun and not feel like work, and I hope this design paradigm on CIG's part changes and becomes less like a theme park MMO reputation checklist and more organically woven into the fabric of everyday Star Citizen gameplay. Now, at the lower risk tiers, you'll encounter ships like Mustangs, Avenger Titans, and the odd Aurora. As you progress, you'll start seeing Eclipses, Valkyries, and probably the NPC ships that can give the most trouble, the Hurricane and the Hammerhead. The amount of wingmen a bounty target has to support it also increases as you progress. The higher risk contracts can get quite challenging, but only if you make mistakes or don't keep moving. I believe the enemy NPC's ability to perform and actually become a threat towards you is very much tied to the server health lottery, just like everything else in Star Citizen. I'm going to showcase group VHRTs and ERTs in 3 different ship types to give you an idea of their feasibility and earning potential. Sorry for the interruption, but I'm going to take the opportunity to remind you to fire everything at the subscribe button and do a tender little boop on the like button. I love making these videos, and if you want to see more of them, subscribing probably helps. I can't be too sure though, I don't actually understand YouTube. Thank you so much for your support, let's move on. With 4 size 1 Bulldog repeaters or gimbal, the stock Aurora LN performs performs quite well actually. The strategy here is to ignore all wingmen and go straight for the NPC ship required by the contract. You only have 4 missiles. You can fire them between 4 and 2 kilometers to drastically increase your chances of getting hits to soften up the target, and then switch to repeaters and finish off the job. Speed away as fast as you can and move on to the next target. You'll need to rearm at a station or base to get more missiles though, so don't become too dependent on them, as this can become quite a time waster. The key thing here is you need to keep moving, and not just in a straight line. You need to alter your vector constantly to reduce the chances that enemy ships will land hits on you. This is made a lot easier if you opt to use a joystick or controller of some kind, anything that gives you an analog input to control the roll of your ship as you move forward and strafe to become less static from your enemy's perspective. Attempting ERTs in the Aurora was doable until you come up against hammerhead. While you can maneuver indefinitely to increase survivability, the damage output just doesn't cut it, and this becomes an incredibly impractical way to make credits. You could switch out 2 of your laser weapons for distortion weapons to force a disable on the target, but the result's the same. You need to get through the shields to allow that strategy to work. You're much better off doing VHRTs at a faster rate. Moving on to the fighter ship type, I used the Buccaneer for this, but I'm sure any other light fighter with enough firepower will be able to handle VHRTs with ease if you're able to keep moving and take no damage. The stock Buccaneer boasts 2 size 3 laser repeaters, as well as a size 4 and 2 size 1 ballistic gatlings, which, with the current ammo system in Star Citizen, will run out incredibly fast, but it will do decent amount of damage, so if you don't mind rearming after every target or 2, this might work. I, however, went full lasers like a so-called mono boaty noob cake, because who has time to dock and rearm every 5 minutes? Same strategy applies here and is totally feasible. Focus purely on the contract target and keep your true vector moving by applying a slight roll to your approaches, and you will not take much, if any, damage. The best defense in Star Citizen is to not get hit. ERTs in the Buccaneer were quite challenging. Firing all laser weapons drains the ships incredibly fast, so you only get bursts of damage, which in the case of the Hammerhead make it very difficult to take down efficiently, but it is much more feasible than the Aurora. Swapping out the 2 stock size 1 repeaters for distortion cannons can make this a lot easier, once or if you are able to get through a shield face. Distortion cannons disable systems throughout the ship, effectively removing them from combat. However, they will recover after a while, so you need to keep the distortion damage up. This works great on the Hammerhead, but it still takes time. So I feel that VHRTs remain a more viable option if all you want to do is make as much money as possible in as short amount of time as possible. Finally, the Constellation. The barrier to entry to get your grubby space hands on a ship like this is obviously higher than the Aurora or one of the many light fighters available, but I wanted to try it out as I believe this is a very popular ship. I used the Aquila variant here, but this doesn't really matter much as the pilot controlled weapons are the same across the Connie series. Stock loadout provides you with really solid 4 size 4 laser cannons, all on gimbals, which work really well. However, I've equipped this one with 4 laser repeaters instead, as I find it's easier to hit the Hurricanes, which are the real threat in most bounty contracts. This thing melts through them, and the larger VHRT targets don't really prove a challenge either. You'll also get 24 missiles at your disposal, but until the missile system improves, they aren't really helping much in comparison to your laser damage output potential. The Connie is also obviously much tankier than the previous 2 ship types, with a single size 3 shield generator sitting at 100,000 HP at stock loadout. ERTs proved no more challenging than the VHRTs until you come up against the odd Hammerhead. Because you are so much less maneuverable than a fighter, the Hammerhead can shred you down to atoms very quickly if you aren't moving properly. But if you're able to avoid fire or at least manage your shields properly when they go down, it can be feasible to deal with these dangerous targets. However, once again, I feel like the earning potential is most likely better when doing VHRTs. My final verdict is that ERTs become much more viable if you have a friend to do them with. Say for instance one of you is trying to save up for a bigger ship and you pool your credits earned instead of sharing them. There are many different options available to configure your ship's loadout in Star Citizen, but we know the constant balancing act the game will continue to go through will change things drastically from patch to patch. For now though, I highly recommend checking out WingZeroType's recent bounty loadout video, focusing on distortion damage and the C788 ballistic cannons in particular. PvE bounty hunting has been a staple in Star Citizen for a very long time, but this is just the tier 0 implementation of the gameplay loop. In the future, they will be looking to add a lot more complexity to the system, as some targets might need to be captured alive instead of just blown out of the stars. Some ships are even dedicated to holding captured bounty targets, such as the Anvil Hawk and the Cutlass Blue. So it appears bounty hunting promises to eventually mix space and foot-based combat, as there are exciting future features that have been teased in the past, like the taser pistol for non-lethal takedowns, or the tracking app, which will allow the Mobiglass to display a player's history of criminality and help us understand the laws of different jurisdictions throughout the game. The long-term goal is for bounty hunting to be a very deep and engaging game system. system, and I hope it gets there. Until then, we can grind away at reputations to earn some credits or track and eliminate player bounties for some added PvP fun. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy this content and want to see more, then we are the same, because I really want to make more. So subscribe if you want to see more, like if you want me to make more, and let me know what your bounty hunting experiences have been like in Star Citizen. I would love to hear from you. Thanks again for watching. See you around the verse. Cheers.